Good morning! Today's video is one I've been working on for quite a while. I want to show you exactly what is involved in recording a CD. Right from the first idea through to the finished object, all the stages involved and everyone that goes into making it happen. And when I looked back on it, I realised that the CD we're going to follow actually took 2.5 years to go through this entire process.
Just being perfectionist now.
The whole CD started in spring 2019, which is when I started really obsessively practicing Schumann's Songs of Dawn. It's got this feeling of anticipating the dawn and hope for a new day, which really resonated with me at the time. I was mulling over for quite a few months how to make this into a really interesting programme along the theme of night and dawn and feeling lost and then being found with the dawn, something around that idea. And it took me probably about 6 months to feel like I had a good selection of pieces that could fit within that theme and really make sense together. I put the programme to Siva at SOMM Recordings, the producer, and then we had to go through the whole process again, working out what we both thought would work. So it was a bit of a balance of what would work for both me and the CD and the recording company. It's almost like a kind of alchemy of programming. Suddenly you know it's right.
That was lovely, yes. And there was nothing, that went wrong that we need to repeat as far as notes are concerned. In the next page there was this little splodge that we can repair in 219. Right, so let me just call it toy. This is 61.
It's nice to get it in a suite.
But we got it.
Yeah.
I'm really pleased we got it because it's what a movement,
Yeah.
Now lunch and then we can do the Schumann.
Yeah.
Hooray! I put a question mark in line 3, bar 3. Those E's in the right hand didn't speak. The first beat. Yep, ba. I think probably you need a tiny bit more energy in the last, we are really just being perfectionists now.
Is it a rap?
I think so, yeah. Is this it? Okay.
Cup of tea.
I'm quite tired, in a good way. I feel satisfied, but emotionally, mentally, physically, pretty exhausted. Out of all the concert halls, this is the one that I feel most comfortable and familiar with. Sort of as close as you could get to being at home. It does make a difference when the recording itself takes so much energy and concentration. It's nice to be in a sort of familiar place.
I think I can say that this is going to be an exceptionally good concept as a CD. It works very well. I was a bit doubtful to start with, but now I'm completely sold on it. She knows her own mind, she knows what she wants from the music, and how she wants it to sound. And I love working with her because she meets me, we meet each other halfway, and it works beautifully.
This was all a bit complicated by the fact that the lockdown was happening, and so the photography studio was actually closed and we weren't allowed to have any assistants or anyone really there apart from myself and the photographer, because normally you'd have a lighting assistant and the hair and makeup assistant. So instead of that, the photographer did the lighting and I had a Zoom tutorial to do my hair and makeup myself. So this was kind of fun. Max, the photographer, sketched some ideas for the mood and we looked at quite a few references together to get the style that we were going for. And we had to just improvise in my own house because of the studio being closed. It was really, really cramped in the apartment with all of the equipment. We ended up with about 6 or 8 options which were narrowed down into the final winning image. In April 2021, Siva, the producer, was able to start going through the recordings and working out the edits. So we'd already made a note of ones that were really good and ones that weren't so good. But then it's quite a big job for her actually to go through every single take of all the pieces and work out which ones to use and if we're going to do any cuts, where those should be. And then she will mark up the scores and send those over to Paul, who's the sound engineer, and he makes the actual edits on his software. Today is an exciting day because the edits have arrived from Paul. It hasn't been mastered or had any reverb added yet, but the raw edits are done. So the cuts that we wanted to make and the takes have been chosen that we wanted. So I'm just going to listen through to that this evening with my husband and just check that I'm happy with all the takes. And I've got my little notebook just in case there's any changes I want to make. Okay, it's now 10 p.m. and we finished listening to everything in the correct order. And it's always kind of a weird experience listening through to a CD. It's been nearly 6 months since I recorded it, and for the whole period, like the year or 2 years that I was preparing that CD, it was like I was totally inhabiting that music. And now that 6 months has passed, it feels kind of distant. It's quite strange to listen back. I feel happy. I always feel like I can't listen objectively because I'm always thinking, oh, I could do that differently, or maybe that could be better another way. So I have to just accept the CD as a snapshot of how it was at that time. Maybe I'd play differently in the future, but right now I'm happy. And I did feel uplifted when the Schumann finished, which I think is a good sign. That I felt something emotionally. So I'm happy about that. I did make some notes because I had to choose between a couple of versions for a few of the pieces. I don't necessarily want to iron out everything because I think then you start to risk losing some of the character and the momentum and energy of the performance. So I have to balance getting rid of things that are distracting but not getting rid of so much that it's kind of overly perfect. It's time to design the booklet. So of course we've already got the cover image, but there's a lot of other information inside the booklet. So on the back you have all of the track listings and timings, the recording information, and then inside you have the notes which were written by Michael Quinn. And we had a couple of conversations actually about the music and about my approach to the CD so that he would be able to work that concept into the way that he wrote the CD notes. I also wrote a small essay just to introduce the CD in a more personal way. And I had to also think about the dedication and the acknowledgements in the CD, which was a nice part of it, and I dedicated it to my husband. That was my role, and then the rest of it is taken care of by Michael Quinn and Andrew Giles, and they do all the layout and the design of the whole booklet. The cover design was done by another lady called Daniela, so there's quite a few people involved in that stage. And then the bit that I was really excited about for this film is when it goes off to the factory.
To be welcomed in the studio by the pianist
Cordelia
Williams. Your new album, Cordelia,
about her new album
Night
of
Eyes.
piano
Tell me
music
about the
inspired
concept
by
behind it.
being up at all hours of the night with her young babies.
20th of August 2021 is release date. So now comes a period of about 3 months, this is still going on actually, of press and publicity. So there is a PR team, which is Nikki, Margaret and Michaela, who are contacting critics, magazines, blogs, radio stations, newspapers and so on to see if they're interested in covering the CD or reviewing it. Obviously it's an honour to be featured on anything, and I always am hugely flattered, but also it does feel quite awkward to talk about myself. I just try to treat it as if I'm just speaking to that one person, just as a friend, and that is slightly less awkward. And now I'm already planning the next CD, so it is a constant cycle, and it feels nice to go back to the original starting point of planning now. If you liked this video, then please consider subscribing to the channel here, and the next video is going to be a practice tutorial, a special request from Andrew in Australia, so see you soon. Bye.